Hi, everyone. I'm Steve. I'm here with Brian Sanchez, who is a personal trainer at Parkway Athletic Club in Carson City. Thanks for being here, Brian.
Hey, always glad to be here. How's everybody doing out there today?
All right, we're going to talk about testosterone. And we don't even really know where this is going to go. We talked about this before we turned the video on, but we're going to talk about testosterone, TRT, testosterone replacement therapy, and we're going to talk about steroids. And I probably haven't mentioned this on this channel, but when I was in my early 20s, when I was in college, I did a thesis on steroids, dug into it, took a whole semester just on all different kinds of steroids. And so we're going to kind of make a comparison because people get confused. You said that, well, first, let me just say, if you guys are interested in our weight loss program, hit the link right here, or not use the QR code right here or the link in the description. If you like talking about testosterone and manly stuff, subscribe to the channel. Why are you laughing?
Because that was kind of funny to me, but go ahead, Steve.
All right. So testosterone replacement is a testosterone injection is not an injection of steroids. So we're going to try and clarify the difference because there is a difference. There's two different things. And I've even said this in a way that can be misunderstood also. We're not doctors, but we've researched this a ton. We're both on TRT, different doses, we're different ages, been on it different lengths of time. But let me say it like this. I don't care how big your dose of testosterone is, it's not a steroid. So let me start by saying it that way, and we'll explain it more as we go. I don't care how big your injection of testosterone is, it's not a steroid. Steroids are different. Steroids are decadurabolin, dianabol, gorilla biscuits, Anadrol. That's a gorilla biscuit. Anavar. They're all different. Those are drugs that are classified as steroids. Now, testosterone is something that you take from the outside and you put it in your body. But testosterone is a naturally occurring substance in your body. Your body needs it. Without testosterone, you will die. So we want to kind of get into, but why do people say that when you take more testosterone, or if you don't need testosterone, you're really on a steroid cycle? No, you're not. And I'll explain more on that. But first, take a whack at this, Brian, because you've researched it a lot and you're having clients, people that you train asking about this. It's steroids. No, it's not. So what are your first thoughts?
Well, my first thought is, do I believe that on a TRT program, my body has been enhanced from when I did not take testosterone? My answer to that for me is yes, I do.
Of course.
But there's a big difference. First off, testosterone replacement therapy program is not an illegal thing. And I clarify that a little bit because I want people to understand that in the United States, you can't just go and get this stuff. Now, you can purchase it illegally, but steroids are
Yeah,
considered,
buyer beware.
right. Steroids are considered an illegal product.
It's a controlled substance.
Yes,
A doctor can prescribe it.
they can prescribe it. But when we talk about steroid usage, and when I'm generally having these conversations with people, the understanding for the most part is the use of steroids in the sense of gaining excessive muscle growth, gaining fast recovery from hard workouts, gaining this different level of strength that your body generally wouldn't produce on its own. That's what I look at when I'm thinking of steroids, because I will tell you that on testosterone myself, my high end strength has not changed than when I was powerlifting. And I think that's important to understand that even though I'm taking testosterone, I don't have a larger bench press or a greater deadlift or a greater anything when it comes to my lifting strength. I do have better endurance and repetition, and I can do more repetitions. But the reason I say that is because testosterone replacement therapy has not volumized myself to where if you guys saw me, in person, you'd look at me and go, well, that guy doesn't look like no bodybuilder that's going to get on stage. And the answer to that is absolutely correct. You have to understand that's not what the testosterone replacement therapy is for. Testosterone replacement therapy is designed with a, in my eyes, the way it's done properly is designed with medical guidance. It is a level of testosterone that you intake into your body that helps you to balance the levels of testosterone to normalcy, in my words, so that your body operates better, your mental clarity is better, your heart health is better. All these things balance out. Your blood tests get better. Your cholesterol is managed easier. Your blood pressure drops, things of this nature. This all comes with replacement therapy because your body needs this testosterone as a male to maintain it. And everything shows that I have read that almost everybody, now there's always a difference. So if you're a naysayer out there, you want to say, oh no, I know Jimmy Jojo and his testosterone's at 900. There's always going to be people that don't fall into these categories in the world. But almost every male, when I talk a lot about the male side of things with testosterone, drops significantly to a level of testosterone. They are nowhere near what they used to produce in their late 20s and early 30s. And if we were wise back in those days and we tested our testosterone level, we would probably be shocked when we see where we're at in today's ages. Like Steve's a couple years older than me, but I'm 57. We would be shocked at where those levels are without this replacement therapy. And I was at just above a 300 when I should be isolating between 800 and 1,000 in my understanding of testosterone. So it is two very different things. And the reason this comes up is because we get into this discussion with clients and associates and the topic comes up and Steve will clarify this for me. But at what level of steroid or testosterone usage are you really creating it or using it as a steroid? Well, let's clarify what that means. And Steve can explain that a lot better than I can, but I do believe you can abuse testosterone and you can take too much. And if you do, you can create problems like you would if you were abusing steroids. You can impact your liver. You can impact your heart health. You can impact all kinds of things if you're using this like a wild man. That's why Steve and I are absolutely not proponents of buying this from Jimmy and Jack in the back room at your local club. TRT is a program that should be monitored with medical assistance. Steve, can you explain kind of like what you and I were discussing at the verbiage people use when they're trying to explain, yeah, but if you get to a certain level of testosterone, isn't that really using steroids?
Yeah, no, it's not. Now, first I want to ask, do you really know Jimmy Jojo?
I do. There's a guy back in the day that I knew. No, I
Jimmy
don't know.
Jojo, and he's juicing up with the testosterone?
Yeah. I don't know him. I'm just using names.
You made that up? Because I was going to say, I think I know him, but I guess not. All right. So if you guys want to do this right, I'm saying this so I don't forget. There's a link again in the description, Royal Medical. You can call Dane. There's a phone number there. They will do your blood work. They will get things right for you. So first of all, to some of your points, we've said this 100 times. Are you enhanced on testosterone replacement therapy? Yes, you are enhanced. You can call this a drug. Okay, it's synthetic. It mimics what your body makes. So it's basically the same thing, but it's exogenous. It's coming from the outside of your body into your body. Can you take too much? Absolutely. Do people take too much? Yes, that's abuse. That's abusing it. Your testosterone levels, your total testosterone levels are not supposed to be 2,000. It's not what they're supposed to be. Now, 30, 40 years ago, if you tested some of us guys who were like kind of manly, our testosterone was probably over 1,200, 1,500
Yes.
maybe.
Yeah, I
That's
would
because
agree.
things are so different these days. The food, the air, the plastic, the water, blah, 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 blah. So, but right now what's considered normal is 300 to 1,000 on some scales. ranges maybe 1,100. That's the top end. So any doctor who sees you at 1,500, you were at 1,500. Your doctor loved that.
Yeah, they kind of thought that was hilarious because all of my other measures were so clean. They were like, what are you doing?
Everyone is different. My dose of testosterone is small. It's 100 milligrams a week. I break it up into 3 shots with an insulin needle. If you guys have questions, put them in the comment section. We'll get back to you. I interview doctors on this stuff. I've done, like I said, a thesis on this. So I think we need to separate out the steroids from the testosterone. TRT, if it's not done right, people are intentionally abusing it. And there's 20-year-olds, 25-year-olds that are intentionally abusing it. And what are they saying? Oh, it's just TRT. It's just testosterone. It's not steroids. Yeah, but you don't need it. You don't need it. You're knocking your hormones out of whack from where they should be. So ideally, what you want to do is you want to perfect where your hormones are, all of them. This goes for women too. It's a lot harder, but there's a lot of women on TRT, a lot of them, and they need it. They need to get all their hormones right. They don't take the dosages that men take. But if you've got someone thinking about this, pass this on. Give them the link in the description and they can talk to the professionals. We're just meatheads, especially Brian.
Very much so.
So if you want to see what steroids look like, and I wouldn't say abuse, look at my profile picture. Go look at the profile picture for this channel. That's steroids. Okay, that's horse steroids. That's all kinds of drugs. Now, not super duper high doses, but something I shouldn't have done, especially at that age. It wasn't appropriate for my longevity, for my health overall. It was all to make me look like a bigger meathead. Now I'm a little meathead, little skinny meathead now. So the idea of all this is to maximize your health. If testosterone is too low, some doctors are going to say, you're fine, you're at 320. In my opinion, that's not fine. And that's what mine was, 300, 350. I had no side effects of low testosterone. But now I just did my blood work again. I'll see what it is. It's probably 900, which I like. But you want your estradiol, your estrogen, everything to be dialed in. You want all your blood work to be perfected for you to maximize your health, for your heart, for everything. And when your testosterone is right at an optimal level for each person, and you got to play with it to get that right, it's going to improve your heart health. You're going to get leaner. You're going to lose body fat. And if you found yourself, hey, I'm eating less and all of a sudden I'm getting fat, your testosterone, good chance it's too low. So you want to get it checked. If you're 20, get it checked. If you're 24, get it checked. Why? So you have a baseline. So then when you're 50 or 60, if your testosterone is 1,000 right now, good for you. That's spectacular. But sadly, the average testosterone for people in their early 20s is 400. That's pathetic. So I'm kind of getting sidetracked here, but you want a baseline. You want to know, hey, my testosterone when I was 24 was 950. So then when you get it checked when you're 50 and it's 300 and the doctor says, wow, your testosterone's really good, you can say, no, it's not. It's 1/3 of what it was half of my life ago. So you're a candidate. So I hope I'm answering the question. The difference between steroids, and those are a lot of different drugs. You can take oral steroids. Now, a steroid is not going to be good for your heart. It can cause heart enlargement, high blood pressure, a lot of bad things, especially if you take too much of any drug. So that's something that's not going to be healthy for your heart. A proper testosterone level is going to be healthy. When you're leaner, you maintain muscle mass. It's going to improve every aspect of your health. You're going to be healthier. But I think people are afraid of it and they start calling it steroids because of people that abuse testosterone. Anabolic steroids are a completely different thing. The orals one will also rip up your liver, especially stuff like Gorilla Biscuits. That's why they call them that. What were you going to say?
I think what's interesting with that, I think that's kind of where people get a little confused because look, it's common knowledge and, we don't judge. We're in the fitness industry. It's common knowledge that yes, steroids and testosterone are used in competition with competitors and with bodybuilders and with some of the power lifters and things. We get that. We understand that. I think where the confusion comes in for a lot of people is you'll hear them talk about the products that they're taking in, and they do take higher levels of testosterone than what you would normally get in a TRT program to help support their, let's just say they're on 1,000 milligrams of gear. Let's just call it that. And what I mean gear, and Steve got me tagged onto that verbiage. We're talking about different types of steroids and they're stacking these things. And let's just say they're on 1,000 milligrams. Well, they might be around 300 milligrams of testosterone and 700 milligrams of X, Y, and Z. And when they're combining all these things, I think the confusion comes in is people think that they're all one and the same and the purpose is all one and the same. Now, I don't understand enough about steroids. I've never tried them. I don't understand enough about steroids. I've listened to the conversations of these professionals, and I think I know a little bit about it. I just don't understand enough about how the combination works well together because it sounds like some guys will take more of the steroid than they will the testosterone, and vice versa. Some will take more of the testosterone than they do the steroid, and then you start throwing estradiol in there, like Steve was talking about earlier. Some guys want their estradiol crazy high. When other people say no, manage it. So there's all kinds of fluctuations and variations. And I think this is why people get confused because when you're talking specifically about a true TRT program, I can't emphasize it enough. It's a legal, medically supervised program designed for the well-being of the individual. That's what this is. We're not talking about getting huge, getting yoked, getting a six pack. Steve?
All steroids are different. But I think this is another thing that this is definitely true. If you take too much testosterone, it's not going to be good for you. It's not going to be good for your heart. It's going to have opposite effects. You could have water retention. You're going to get acne. Guess what? Similar side effects that you get with steroids if you take too much testosterone. But are they the same? No, they are not the same. Are you enhanced on testosterone? Yes. You're not natural. Okay? You're not. And a lot of these guys who say, I'm natty, you're on TRT. They don't say, I'm natty, I'm on TRT. You notice they leave that part out because they don't want anybody to know it. So you are enhanced. And if you take too much, you can have similar side effects to steroids, but they're not the same. In my opinion, a small dose of any type of steroid is too much. And that tells you what the difference is. A small dose of any type of steroid, in my opinion, is too much at any age. The testosterone replacement therapy is different.
Well, and I think that's interesting, and those who are listening understand when Steve's talking about that, he's learned from his experience of being in both sides of the field with this, and not to throw a football pun in there, but because he did practice some steroid usage, but he obviously clearly said, yeah, that's not the thing to do, and so he's openly discussing too that yeah, even a little bit's no good. I've never used it, haven't want to use it because I'm too afraid to even try it, quite frankly. However, I do think that there are successful athletes who have been able to luckily manage steroid usage throughout their lives. And there's always going to be those people that have had tremendous success from this stuff and they don't have concerns with it. So understand it can throw some confusion out there when you're talking about these products. I am adamant when I say I don't think anybody needs to use steroids because I'm too concerned for the health impact to you. Now, if you're a bodybuilder and you're going to compete and get on stage and you're going to try to be win the open competition, I don't think you can do it without it. And that's just reality. And when people say without steroids, when people say, well, what about the natural group? Well, A lot of that natural group, I'm just going to throw this out there. A lot of that natural group are former users of steroids. And well, I'll just say a percentage. A lot might get a lot of stones thrown in my direction. So, do they retain that muscle mass? And are they bigger because they used steroids in the past, so now they're in the natural program? So it throws a lot of confusion and discussion in there. So just be smart of it. I'm not a proponent of young men, even though they may have low steroid or low testosterone. I'm not a proponent if you haven't had kids of getting on any of this. If you plan to have a family, I would always say, go have your family, go have your kids, stay on it, pay attention to it, but don't get into the use of testosterone or TRT unless you absolutely have to because your life's destroyed without it. In other words, allow the body to create what it can create naturally. And then after your children, yeah, take a look at these programs. That's just my 2 cents on what age groups as well. You might be 20 years old and never want kids, then hey, knock yourself out if your TRT's low.
Well, if you're 20, you're 25, and your testosterone's low,
There's something else going on.
there's something wrong. Now, the average is way too low for young men in their early 20s compared to what it was 30 or 40 years ago. It's way too low. So something's going on there. But if you get your protein up, you train hard, and you do everything right with your diet, you'd be surprised at get rid of the stress, sleep well. You'll be surprised. I think some of these young guys could double their testosterone because they're doing everything wrong. Lose the belly fat. Do all those things and see what happens first. Don't just take the easy way out with anything in life. And steroids they're not the answer. Now, you said something that's interesting, and I really believe this. If I never used steroids in my early 20s, and it was only for a couple years, off and on, I cycled it, of course, so it wasn't a long time. But if I never did that, I'd be the same size now as if I never did anything. Either way, I'm going to look exactly like this. Kind of a skinny, lean, fairly strong old guy. I would look the same. So there's no advantage. You do have the muscle memory and all that, but I would have had all that anyway. I still would have gotten stronger, 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 and maybe I would have made it further along without steroids and messing up my hormones, because that's what that does. So it's all about getting it right, and don't get confused. And we wanted to do this video just to help unconfuse some of the people that you've talked about. Send this on to them, Brian. Give them the link.
Now, we may have confused them even more. However, be patient and study for yourself. One of the things, Steve and I will never tell you have to do any of this. And I think when you make these important decisions, it has to be something that is 100% your choice. Yeah, you're going to be influenced by guys that are excited about it, like me and Steve, but make your own choice and be absolutely sure it's something you want to do. If you're scared and confused, then don't use these products, but be right when you do it.
Yeah, you got to do your own research for sure. And go from there. Talk to a doctor that specializes in this. Royal Medical, they specialize in this. And you can talk to them. I also recommend that you talk to another clinic, not just them. Talk to more than one clinic. And I think with the promo code Vitality1, you get like $50 off or something your first 3 months or so. So it gives you a discount. But the main thing is you want to use a reputable clinic that uses reputable pharmacies, compound pharmacies. It has to come from a compound pharmacy. You don't just buy this stuff off the internet or go across the border and buy it. That's stupid. You don't know what's in that. You want it to be the real thing from a real pharmacy, subscribed, prescribed by a real doctor.
That I cannot support that enough. Do not buy this without going through proper programs, guys. Yes, you can get this like anything else that you're not supposed to have without prescriptions. You can get this anywhere. In a state like we live in, yeah, it's probably very accessible in a lot of ways. Don't do it unless you do it the proper way. You actually spend more money, in my opinion, buying these things. When I talk to people who have purchased testosterone through other venues or other ways of obtaining it, they spend quite a bit more money on it than we do. When you buy it the legal way and you're on a proper program, it's expensive, but it's not as expensive as the black market.
Yeah. And you got to watch out for growth hormone too. Look to peptides, something that naturally will increase your growth hormone. But, jacking up your growth hormone outside of a normal range, that'll mess you up too. It'll turn your head sideways. So don't quote me on that, but you get my point. So if you have questions, put them in the comments section. Brian, thanks for your input. Thanks for the topic.
Hey, glad to be here. Everybody take care of yourselves. We'll see you at the Parkway.